Hello, good evening. Hi, Yann.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm good. What about yourself?
Next question.
Okay, you've got the same model as me. You've got the same model.
Hey,
This one.
they really got us for a good one, didn't they? Oh,
Yeah. Except
wait,
for,
yours looks
I
higher
think I got
quality
mine when
wood
I
than
was really
mine.
little, so I put the little thing in the wrong place. Has yours collected dust yet?
Oh yeah.
I've had mine behind glass for quite a while, but it collected enough dust before then, so it needs a bit of a refurb. But I'm sure they're very collectible right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Anyway, if you've just joined us, good evening, everyone. It's not just the Yann and Stevie chit chat show. We do want to hear from you. What are your Goodison memories? We are going to be, I think, going through some of ours, memories of recent years and years gone by. We're in the kind of, can we say, middle-aged clan of being old enough to remember us win something, but also young enough. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, and it's really just looking. It's bittersweet. Let's face it. It's emotional. It's really hard right now because we're leaving Goodison, but they've also announced that it's not being bulldozed down. So maybe they ran out of budget to kind of knock down Goodison, or maybe they've realised that the trend in women's football is going to be one that requires a much bigger stadium. But whatever it is, saying goodbye to Goodison on Sunday for the men's team, at least, is going to be a really tough ask for Everton fans who've called it their home since 1892. And of course, there are a lot of non-Everton fans as well that are actually saying, I think Arsene Wenger this week, Jose Mourinho, the tributes are pouring in at Goodison's ability to bring out the best in English football, and Goodison Park is a stadium that is very, very dear to Everton fans, but it's also clearly got respect of genuine football fans, and it's going to be a really sad day when we leave. But it had to happen at some point. It feels really surreal, doesn't it?
It's a very sad day because it's more than just a football stadium and the home of a football team. And you don't get to decide what it means to people. So the thought that something so monumental where you experience the highs and lows, I mean, there'll be people there who people literally die at the game. Dixie Dean, it's like his spirit is there in some way, whether you believe in that or not, whether you want to talk literally or not, but just on an emotive level, when you think about what it means to people, the iconic moments, and I'm glad that it remains, and I can understand the business decision of wanting to avoid the long-term cost, shooting yourself in the foot by demolishing it and then having to build a stadium further down the line, and if it's not fit for purpose, and developing a bigger complex and keeping a presence in the area, because there's a responsibility to a certain extent. But I don't know. I'm going to miss it. It's not just, it's everybody's routines. It's what it means to them. We're tribal creatures, and football is tribalism incarnate. Look at my colours. Are your colours? I mean, I'm wearing this as a particular kit. I chose it as one that stood out in reference to the Black Watch and the old days, and that's my choice for wearing this, for this. But you know,
it's a nice little number. You're probably like me with stacks of these knocking around every single year. They've fleeced us, and the thing is,
I make the worst choices in player names on the back. Let me just have a look at some of these. No, to be fair, I've got a Kay Hilton and Osman because I knew, Christ, you can't go wrong with them. But yeah, sorry, carry on, Stevie.
That's fine. So for those of you that are wondering what this show's going to be all about, at some point the organised chaos will form into a review of some of the best games that we've seen at Goodison Park, either with our own eyes or on TV. We're going to be talking about we're talking about the amount of detergent that we're going to need to wash through all of these. But we're going to be talking about the games gone by. Many in the recent history have been tough relegation battles, so we'll be talking about those. And really, Goodison, what it means to me and Yann. We've been hosts on the channel for several years, and I think Jeffers. We've had our mostly lows watching Everton at home and then coming out and doing the videos. It's a chance really just to say that, you know, recent history aside, it wasn't all like that. Everton were a good side. I was actually sitting down. Very, very nice. I've got one here. This one I got outside when we won the FA Cup in '95. Got this one outside the ground. I don't know where to wear this one.
I've got somewhere.
But
I've got somewhere my dad's old scarf from the 60s when he was a boy. Just an old blue scarf with 2 white bands at each end.
Which segues nice. I was explaining to Emma that in the 60s and the 80s, Everton were a great side. Absolutely brilliant. 4th most successful side in England. And it's kind of hard to fathom when you consider that there's been basically a drought. What is that from?
It's a signed football by the team and Howard Kendall from 1986-87 when they won the league.
I think we should do a separate show on relics because I think there's so much stuff here. We could definitely spend all episode talking about that. And I definitely will be doing an episode about this very difficult model to build.
Neville Southall.
It's nearly there for those that have been following this. And yes, that is Captain Scarlet and Thunderbird 3 and Thomas the Tank. This stadium, Yann, has kind of got the better of me. I don't think it's going to be finished before the end of the season, but it's good that they're not demolishing the real thing because it's just a hard model to build. I mean, it's much easier to buy that than it is to build this. I will be doing an episode review on that because it's hard. It's hard to build and it's hard to find the time to build amongst life. It's over 3,000 pieces and the instructions are very, very poor. What can I say? But yeah, it's too hot in down south where I am. It's warm across the whole country right now to be wearing scarves. Where's that from?
This, right, forgive me. I've got my mum here to remind me, but my dad won this, I think. He won several things. He got a Barclays Fan of the Month thing once with the little almost aquascutum type bloody when's the watershed? We're after it. It looks like some sort of wine stopper butt plug type thing. I've no idea what it is, but it's like this solid ball. And I don't know. This is signed by I think the 2006, 9, 12. I've no idea. There's signatures on here.
You don't know when?
No. Who was number 9 at one point? That I can't even tell. You know,
Campbell, Ferguson. Well, it's not. Well, we don't know the year.
I know.
Well, I can work it out.
I don't know who these. I can't tell. There's no context. I'm sorry.
If we can get the year and we can trace Nike footballs. Anyway, we digress. We've got many of our regulars here, so we should probably say hi to them. Mark, Kevin, Rod,
Flash,
Emma.
Eugene,
I think
Kevin.
you know who you are, and there'll be lots of people watching before the Southampton game, which is at this strange kickoff time of 12 o'clock. We're going to start going through some games at Goodison because we have to start at some point, I suppose. But before we do, Goodison Park, as I was saying, is a historical stadium. It's one of the last real historical stadiums. And it was the first football stadium, purpose-built stadium of its kind, wasn't it? It hosted the World Cup. It was so ahead of its time. And we joke about how...
for Brazil. It was the first stadium to have a triple-decker stand, the first stadium to have underfloor heating, the only sports stadium in the world to have a church on the grounds. The first to have purpose-built dugouts. And I don't know what more you want to say.
No, that's a good summary. Those are the sorts of things. I actually had my engagement party there, so it also has that tie to me as well.
One of the fellas next to me got married. I think had his wedding or reception there in the Park End suite.
I think that a lot of people have had some sort of event, or they've been to a party. I remember going to a party there as a kid as well.
Yes.
But of course, after the whistle on Sunday, I don't know. It sounds like some sort of like end of an era celebration party. We don't really know. Corner flags, Tim Cahill.
No, corner flags. First ground to utilise corner flags.
Oh, really? Okay. I can't remember that, even though it probably came up on the tour.
It wasn't at Goodison, but where was it? We were the first team involved in a penalty shootout, weren't we?
Probably lost.
And was it first with numbers on the back in a certain, or names? I can't remember what it was.
What with names and numbers?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the funniest thing that's happened to you at Goodison Park?
The funniest thing, the Goodison Park cat, during midway through a match, me and this mad woman, like, I hope she's not watching, or anyone who knows her and will take offense at this, because like, I love weird. I live for weird, and if you're weird, you pop up on my radar, go for it. But this mad woman and me were like getting this cat and like, come on, and eventually she grabs it and does something with it, and then like find out the next week, yeah, it's back and it lives there. Do you know that when the cat was on the pitch and it was running on and off for a while, probably about 10 years ago?
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
That was interesting. What was the cat called? Do we ever get the name of it?
No idea. It was black. I don't think it was entirely black, but there's been several. It might have been the black and white one.
There has been several. But this one was really recent, wasn't it? The one that you caught.
Yeah. Not fairly recent. I mean, I'm going back, 7 years, something like that.
What, you mean the last time we won a throw-in? Yeah, that's quite funny.
What the? I don't know what else.
I'm still on a high from the fact we actually won at the weekend. Remember, at half time, I was looking for a pillow. I text to say I need a pillow. It's really boring and terrible, and then we won 3-1. So I'm still like really happy about what happened at the weekend. We should embrace every single away win, or any win, but away win that we can latch onto on a second in 11 games. But yeah, I've got one. So this is, I'm sure we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but the Decore game, just call it the Decore game.
Keep talking. I'm going to go have a look for something.
Okay. It was just full of flares. I love the way he's just left me to talk on my own instead of share this story. You are listening, right? Yeah. Okay. It's fine. I'm used to talking to myself like this anyway. But yeah, so basically I went to the match with my dad, who's a season ticket holder in the up in the sky top balcony. And basically, but we sat in the main stand. But before the game, I passed my driving test that weekend. It'd been an absolute nightmare. I just put it off for a long time, and then I ended up taking it and passed, I think, 2 days before that game. It was just the weekend. It was just a crazy weekend. So I passed my driving test. I think it was a Saturday. I think we played them on the Sunday, Bournemouth. And obviously my head was, must have been thinking about other things and the stress. Obviously we had the flares and the coach arrival and all of that. And I basically ended up spraining my ankle inside the ground, inside of the ground for me to be brought inside to the actual
medical tent.
Yeah,
my dad and I went to a friendly. Sorry, carry on.
That's fine. So I was in the medical tent before the Bournemouth game, getting attention for, it's very weak now, this sprained ankle in general. I just go over on it. I've signed up for a 10K in London in July, and it's still weak, but we'll see. But yeah, I got attention at Goodison Park within the medical facilities, which was a first. But I think it was down to the fact when you're thinking about other things, which I think a lot of people were, well, I certainly was, i.e. the match, you end up forgetting to put one foot in front of another. And where I went over, I think it was in the park end where there's a step and there's like a wall, and I think everyone knows where I mean. Not far from the box office, but on the way, and there was a step and I went over on it. But within the ground, if I'd been like one step over and fallen into the road, it wouldn't have counted as Goodison Park's perimeter, and therefore it's not their responsibility. But Everton being Everton, they brought me in, helped me out. Everything was just as you expect. And then off I went, and I managed to get up the stairs, up the main stand, and put my place to eventually what was just an incredible second half, considering when you played that game without a striker. I think we should probably now talk about your first game, actually, Yann. When was it? Do you remember much about it?
No, I do not even remember which game it is, and I'm going to have to ask you to look through some statistics. Just in reference to that, my dad and I, it wasn't at Goodison, but they are very good. I think they did look after my dad once. Something happened, and he had a bit of an episode, and the paramedics there were very, very good. Or one of the St. John's was somebody that responded to him something when he had an episode. There's just the sense of community there. But some of that was relayed by the stewards, the Everton stewards that go on away games. They went, God knows when it was, years ago. I think we were it was either Southport or Bournemouth. And we went to an away game. And as during the pre-game, just as the players were dicking around, well, not dicking around, warming up, you know, and kicking the ball, it flew over the goal and like proper twatted my dad in the hand, and it really kind of hurt him. And his drink went everywhere and scolded him. Sorry, is it the swearing?
No, carry on.
Oh, okay. You were just pulling a face. I didn't know if it was like,
or... That's fine.
Yeah, but that was interesting. It's rather amusing. My first game, I think, was in 1991, and I'm sure it was a boring 1-1 draw. And somebody scored. I'm sure they did, evidently. Sorry, I was trying to see if he had it here, because I know he'll have some of the program. My dad will have left me some of the programs from '66.
So you reckon 91? That was 3 years before my first game.
Oh yeah, I was about 4 years old. The first game I remember was something like a 3-2 or a 5-3 or something against QPR, and I sort sat high up in the bloody main stand. I think that's the first one I remember.
Have you sat everywhere, Yann?
I have sat in the main stand at sort of the church end and the TV box end. I've sat in the Alex Young and the three, whatever it is, and the director's box. I've sat in the upper Bullens, the lower Bullens, park end, street end. I just haven't sat in the upper street.
Have you ever had an obstructed view? Because that'd be more interesting.
What you mean? You mean my season ticket? Yes.
No, just for any game, like a real.
Oh yeah.
Proper I remember I had a post.
The games that my dad took me to as a kid were in the main stand, and as the kid, would have the obstructed view, and I'd sit on his lap or lean round, or he'd stand me in front. Yeah, you know that. Obviously, not all of them, but some of them I recall being like that. Because who the hell cares? You know, a 4 or 5-year-old is not going to have the attention for 2 hours to be like, "Oh, look at that pass, Daddy." It's going to be like, you know, "I'm hungry, Daddy. Can I have a hot dog? Can I have a you know."
Kevin also said he had the ball hit him. Scholes shot right at him. So it's interesting. It does happen.
And they're really good about it when it happens.
Yeah. Has anyone taken a ball from Goodison or managed to take anything like that? That'd be interesting to find out. But yeah, it's really hard to not go to Goodison and at some point have a post in a way. But the lower Gladys Street in particular seems to be the worst spot near the back. And I've had one of those really, really bad seats where you literally, your views of the post, you can do this and you can do that. And I remember seeing Andy Johnson. I think we won 1-0. And I remember being back there with one of my brothers, and I can't remember which. I'm sorry that I just don't remember the exact detail. But it probably was Ryan, but I don't know. But yeah, 91. Have you found the game yet?
No, I haven't. But I'm going to go get it because I don't have the box here. But what I have found.
Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
Very nice.
The match.
That's some really good match. Some really good, Nick.
Oh, it is. It's pristine.
Absolutely perfect, Nick. I think there's still time if you're ordering programs, by the way. I think you've still got probably till tonight to get the program for the weekend in good nick. Now you'll be able to get it on match day, but it will not be coming home in the state that you buy it. So just bear that in mind, and that's why, for very obvious reasons, I've ordered two, one for me and one for me. I'm just like that. Probably JJ will get the others. My first game, I can actually remember it really well. And I was 12 at the time, and Everton played Tottenham Hotspur. And it was in that really, I would say, difficult season, but it seemed like a dream season compared to some of the seasons we've had. 94, 95. You reckon it's the 17th of December. For some reason, my memory was it was the 12th.
Sorry,
but I think
when you say reckon.
But I think it's because it was £12 a ticket. The park end had just opened, and we had a row of 4 tickets. I went with my late grandfather, Papa, my dad. Yes, that's the one. What date? 17th. So 2 days after my 12th birthday. Of course, what we didn't know was that in the April we would play Spurs, beat them 4-1, go on to win the cup that following year. So it was tough, though. We were 19th in the league, and at this point, my Everton following days were very much about trying to find signal with a radio hanging outside of a door from some shopping centre or wherever my mum and dad would want to go, or just at home, really trying to get a reception with a Sony Walkman. And Everton, as we probably expect, had Southall in goal, Jackson, Watson, Burrows, Hinchcliffe, and David Unsworth. Ebrel, Horn, Parkinson. I mean, the dogs of war in midfield, but it's not exactly creative. And then Barlow was the one I remember him floating around with Rideout.
Did Gemmell join us?
A bit later. It wasn't until about 98, I don't think. 97. Okay. He scored an absolute screamer, didn't he, in the Gladys Street? Do you remember that one?
No, I wasn't going to games at that age.
In 98.
No, I don't.
Okay.
I'd have been like 11 years. I see. This is the thing. My memory doesn't work like that. I don't remember games like that. And
there's probably too many of them. There's just probably too many of them. So
I've been to, I think, what is it, 19 games a season.
There is a resource.
450 games at Goodison.
If you go on Transfer Market, you can get. The Premier League has it as well. You can get this sort of information. As you can see, it's an absolute riveting first match. But I remember walking up to the ground. I remember arriving a bit late because that's just what my family are like. But I just if
we're talking about Goodison memories, can you please disclose a little bit of this? Because that's surely going to make a lot of your Goodison memories.
It's not. There's a reason, Yann, when
the public want to know. The public want to know.
The public want to know. So when Yann knows this really well, my aim is to get to the match ridiculously early. It's my ethos in life. I'd rather be an hour early for an airport than a minute late. However, my family are not like that, and they're professionals at slowing at not being on time. But that's just how it is. Just to point out, obviously the Spurs side here was quite talented, and maybe not everyone wasn't quite aware of it at the time, but it had Sol Campbell, it had Nick Barmby, it had Teddy Sheringham, and so on in that Spurs side. But it was a really dire game. Forgetting the game, I just remember that moment. I don't know if you remember that moment where you go up the steps and you have the panoramic immersive view of the ground for the first time. And I just remember going up there, and my first reaction was, wow. I had not seen anything like it in my whole life. I was 12. I've not seen anything like it in my whole life. And some people go into the game when they're like 5 or 6, and like that's what JJ when he's 4. But just this immersive view. Wow, the atmosphere is incredible. Wow, it's not like it is on TV. Wow, Goodison Park's a really fantastic place. And of course, the park stand had just been built, so it was a sought after place to be. No obstructed views, but it was that kind of. I don't think was smoking probably was still in the ground, but it was just the atmosphere. It's the December, winter, floodlights, everything about it, Yann. Everything about it. It had that feeling. Apparently there were only 32,000 at this game, but maybe it was restricted. We don't know. But everything about that first moment, from that moment on, I was hooked on going to Goodison Park. But for difficulties with finances and the fact that going to football match was a birthday treat. I only really went once a year. I know it's sad, but that's, that gives me a good grounding for appreciating the things I have in life at this point. But I went once a year, and that was my game. I think I did go to another game that year because I went to the semi-final, but I would go on my birthday. That would be it. But that was it. Spurs, what I remember is the atmosphere, the first walking up of the steps. I suppose that's the benefit of going when you're a bit older, because you can remember everything. Whereas I don't know whether I can't remember his first game, and that was 18 months ago. Yeah, now that I've kind of rejogged some of your sort of thoughts around your first game, maybe have you got anything to share?
One thought. I just want to confirm something.
Well, Yann confirms this is
right. So I've just been trying to. Hi, sorry about that, Stevie. I've been trying to confirm basically some of the games that I went to, and it's very difficult because unfortunately, I'm sure my dad knew, and I think I first went to a game when I was about 4.5. So that it would have been in the second half of well, it would have been like 1991, in like January, February, around some time, and I don't know what game it was, but I do distinctly remember going to, I think, Goodison, and I'm sure I went to the Queen's Park Rangers home game, the 12th of April, 1993, where we lost 5-3. I'm sure, because I remember that scoreline, and not just because of the Blackpool one where it was reversed a lot more recently, probably about 10, God, a long time ago. But yeah, I don't really recall that. I just remember it being this place where I was sharing a thing. I can't look. I need to tell you more of a story if I can. And I'm going to share this with people. And I don't know if I'm repeating myself. Forgive me if I've already done this on the channel. But my first word was at 7 months old. And I was dropped off at my grandma's house with my mum there while my dad went to the football. And it was on the TV. And Everton scored. And I can tell you what game that was. I could probably have a look while I'm telling you the story. Everton scored, and the camera panned to the rapturous Evertonians. And I just said, I looked at the TV, turned around and went, Dada. So, and from that moment, I had like Everton baby grows. I had Everton teddy bears. I had Everton teddy bears that were bought before I was born. So it was written in the stars that I had to. I'm pretty sure my dad was impatient to take me to Goodison. I had to be baptized. I had to go on the pilgrimage. I have to go.
That impatience, I've had that with JJ. He's 5.5, and he's probably seen 6, 7 managers. But it's all to do with the power of suggestion. So the frame shirt on the wall, the teddy bear, the Everton book, everything Everton, being signed up to the thing before you're even born, all of that sort of stuff. It's all power of suggestion stuff. So I think like magicians use it when they're like trying to say, guess any card, but I'm already going to tell you what your card is. So it's all these subliminal suggestions that basically mean that you're indoctrinated. JJ will probably watch this back one day and goes, Daddy, was it you that did that? And I'm like, yeah, it's called magic. But no, you get chosen to support Everton generally by.
I don't know exactly which game it is, but it was a 1-0 game. That's what my dad told me. So it's either Nottingham Forest, the 3rd of January, 88, Southampton, the 27th of February, 88. I don't think it was Newcastle. So it was one of those two games. And I don't know if anyone can tell me or find out which one of those was televised. Now
we should be able to find that out. We should be able to find it out. Maybe not on the stream, but at some point. We need to identify your first game.
Right. Oh God, I don't know. But basically, that was, and I just always have these memories, and I just think that I have memories of something that was so infused with my associations with football and Everton that I remember it differently just from watching the videos and the big wall behind the goal, and how things were different and just how it looked kind of different. And then you go, well, that's not how it used to be, and it's. I don't know. It's just it's there. It's like a school that you've always gone to, or a
Yeah, I
workplace
know.
that doesn't feel like work.
It's
Or
just the weirdest feeling to think that, yes, the only way of going there will be to watch the women's football. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe that is. I mean, it's a brilliant magnet. I mean, it's just going to work. I mean, I don't watch women's football unless it's the semi-finals of a major competition and England are in it. But that's it. I mean, for me, Everton has always been about family, working class culture, but it's also been about Everton. Your parents support it. My mum and dad both had season tickets in the 80s. And then before that, my grandfather was a big Everton fan. And it's just one of those things. It's just you go the game. And I don't know whether anyone's watched the Sky documentary. It was very kind of touching. They had to apologize a lot because Peter Reid swore, and it was way it was like 11 o'clock in the morning.
I
And it
haven't
was
watched
also
it yet.
you need to watch it, but be prepared. The last 5 minutes is very touching. But they go through some classic games, some of which we'll be discussing now anyway, because they're the obvious games. And they have different people who pop up and say what it means. But, Everton seems to be just a very
I was there for
reminiscent
Fiorentina.
of.
That's a memory I have as well. That game, and I was sat. I don't know if I was sat in the street end close to the Bullens Road, like in the corner, or the Bullens Road, because I wasn't in my usual seat. But was it Collini or that fucking referee and the
Are we talking about the Champions League game?
yeah.
The Collini mistake was when we were actually away from home, the Ferguson
Yeah,
one. That
no,
wasn't it?
but it seemed so fucking rigged against us when we came because it came back and we played so well and we just needed that and it wouldn't go to penalty. I can't fucking remember it. This is what I mean. I
Mm.
can't. Sorry, swearing.
Well, that was the only Champions League game we've ever played at Goodison Park. But of course, the biggest game probably that's ever been played at Goodison Park was the Bayern Munich game at a club level. So it probably brings us quite nicely into that game because I think that there will be a lot of people who went to this game that are watching the stream, whether it's now this evening on Wednesday the 14th or at some point in the future, because we will mourn Goodison Park as a first
People
team.
are talking about their memories here, and it's just before they get
I know,
lost in Peter as well. It's it
77. I'm showing my age. I was born in 82. So this is really great. I think that
Do you know?
Dent.
No, somewhere. Look, while you're talking about this, let me just quickly go and have a look somewhere because I've got a shirt here that relates to this. 1 second.
So what I understand, and it's only really from watching back the Bayern Munich game and from other people speaking about it, because I wasn't there. This was the game. I mean, there has been some absolutely spectacular games, but Everton were second favourites against Bayern Munich. We'd gone to their place and it was goalless. And then we came back and they took the lead and we went in a half time. And basically that's when the Howard Kendall quote of we'll suck the ball, the Gladys Street will suck the ball in the net kind of came out. And of course, it was a bit like folklore, but it ended up happening with the way that Everton managed to finish the game, winning by 3-1 with some great football, but definitely second favourites for that game. Bayern Munich were giants of European football, as they still are. And the night, I believe that just like getting anywhere near the ground, the atmosphere was just off the scale. 49,000, I believe, went to that game. Of course, attendances have varied quite greatly through Goodison Park's history. Something like 80,000 plus at one point. But then obviously when it went all standing, then that reduced. As you can see here, the goals from Everton, equalising goal was Graham Sharp. You can't miss it, the header. Then Andy Gray and Trevor Steven. That third goal particularly was an absolute stunner, and it was in the 86th minute, and that was the one that caused wild scenes. So maybe if you just haven't, you're young and you just haven't seen this game, just watch it back, because this is a pivotal game in Everton's very decorated history at Goodison Park, and many people speak about this as being their favourite game. But this is one where if I could have gone back and if I was able to go, I would absolutely love to have been there that night. But there has been so many great nights at Goodison Park, but this particular one was just great because Everton went on, of course, to lift that, being our only European trophy to date. And 49,476 saw it, but we were 1-0 down at half time. So Howard Kendall did turn it around, and it was just a superb night. And if you get the chance, make sure you check out this game. I don't know anyone who's watching that's been to the game, but this particular one, Rod said that I'd love to know the attendance. Well, you've got it now. But yeah, it's probably another couple of thousand squeezed in. We don't know what the official attendance was, but that's what it is on paper. Jan, did your father speak about the Bayern game? Presumably he went.
He went to, yes, he did. He took my mum. Forgive me, I could get her, and she's got actual memories of it. But 1 second, just a second.
I'm going to show my computer skills now. There you go. So yeah, I mean, this is how we lined up. I mean, it's not a Goodison Park thing, but Southall in goal. What a team! I mean, this is a team that was just incredible. And we won. We won plenty of games playing really stylish football. And where is it now? We don't know, but perhaps Moyes will look at this.
Oh my God! Sorry, Stevie. My mum said, I just asked her. My dad took her to the Bayern Munich game, and they were in the upper street end. And they were in the upper top balcony with the wooden seats, and she said it was magical. It was bloody fantastic, is what she said. She said, I don't know. I think my dad told me in the past, because my mum's from Staffordshire, and to be fair, she's kind of proud that, Robbie Williams, that's my team. But no, she supports Everton. She gets so panicked watching us on TV. She can't, even when we're winning, because it's like I have to watch it there. And my dad said that was the night that he thought my mum he'd converted her to fall in love with Everton. And
isn't that beautiful?
And my dad told me this story many times. He was there and he was ecstatic. And something, I think, and it was the Rotterdam game, and he had the opportunity to get to get 2 tickets. And I think something came up with his dad or his business, or something came up. And he genuinely went, oh, well, there'll be more nights, because Everton were on the up and up.
They were. Is that where the phrase came from that became part of the song? But yeah, School of Science. It was all,
I don't know who it would be. It would be so lovely if anybody out there knew this. But I know that, I think through his dad or something, he had the tickets and he gave them away to somebody. I think that's what he said. Or maybe they were just surrendered and you gave them up. I don't know. But if anyone remembers Daniel Miller giving them tickets to fucking Rotterdam or something along those lines, yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. It's really great when you get these little anecdote stories of family members telling you about things. I remember Ryan's first game. He'll probably talk about it on his own, but I think it was it was a preseason match. He was in the Gladys and took him. I don't know, it was reluctantly, but Espanol, I think. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But yeah, obviously JJ's was last year. Calvert-Lewin, it was the rebounded goal.
We know what was really nice as well for a while. I think it was under Moyes, wasn't it? They really embraced that it's not just a cauldron or a fortress or a stadium or anything like this. And it's a lot more. It's multiple things to people. And they've started to kind of do that, but we really died off. It became a somber affair. And it's not fair. Like, I'm glad they brought back the Hit the Bar and the charity things and get people on, and old, old legends or things to do with it in the community, or, the disability team, the kids team, just something more exciting, the fan cam, anything, I've no idea. Do a stupid thing. I mean, you see it on social media, and it was so great at that era. You saw so much positivity because there were Everton. I remember Everton fans and fans groups coming over from all over the. Yes, and we get it fairly regularly as a football club in the Premier League, but they were coming over from Australia, like I'm maybe making it up here, but it was like Australia, Nigeria, Peru. We had the Ruleteros, and and it was just like all these different, and the youth teams coming over, and it just felt like this lively, vibrant place, and it's always going to be that. You have those memories, and yeah. It's beautiful. They even opened it up for training days, and I remember being there. It was like a youth training match or something like that. Or no, it was a youth match. I don't know. My dad used to take me to these odd, youth games, under 14s or something, are playing at Goodison for the only time that season, or things like that. They used to be, and I think we saw like a 14, 15-year-old Wayne Rooney, and my dad was like, he's going to be something
I
special.
remember going to because you used to be able to get in for about £1, or if you're free.
Yeah.
I remember going to see the youth team, and it was full of talent at that point. And I remember actually seeing the final of I think it was '98. We won the Youth Cup, didn't we? The FA Youth Cup, and it was littered with absolute talented footballers. And actually, you could say that was one of very few games that was a final where Everton won, because how many can you remember? Correct me if I'm wrong. Was that the only game where it was a final and we won? Because I remember it as being a big night. I was in the upper Bullens for that one, but yeah, it was a side just full of talent. I'm going to slightly segue over now, just because in the interest of moving forward a little bit, we've spoken about the Bayern Munich game, and we probably could do an episode on it, but we won't for now. I'm going to talk about the next game, and the clue to that is this quote. Who was this quote from? I'm going to give you the opportunity to.
These are just beautiful memories. I mean,
we'll go through them in a minute. We'll pull them up. We're going to go through them properly. Let's pull them up and give them the time and the attention they deserve. But who said this quote? What game? I give you a clue. It was an important game, and it was
one Evertonian is worth what?
No. So who said it's no secret it was a horrible dive?
Was it about Steven Gerrard? No, sorry.
Nah, I'm putting you on the spot here. I'll give you a clue. It's towards the end of the 94-95 season.
Beards? No,
sorry, 93-94. It was a Wimbledon game, and it was Limpar. Limpar had come out recently and said he dived, right? And of course, that was the catalyst to bringing back Everton from the dead, because we were 2-0 down at halftime. There were lots of conspiracy theories around this game, because the goals that Everton scored, obviously the Barry Horn goal was amazing. The Stewart goal was soft. The penalty was extremely soft, but we won 3-2, right? And that was the first proper relegation battle of, I've reckoned 4. I've got 4 on my list. Please tell me if I'm wrong here, right? You've got Wimbledon, you've got Coventry, technically
West
Palace.
Ham? Oh.
Palace, technically, and then Bournemouth. I mean,
as in like
you count Palace as a relegation end of season showdown because it's the penultimate.
Have we not had matches in the 90s against like West Ham as well? Like there was this time when it was. Oh no, that was earlier in the season, wasn't it? Sorry.
Possibly. I'm talking about like the last game of the season. Obviously with Palace, which we'll get to in a minute. Palace was just another phenomenal night, because we were also 2-0 down that night as well. It was kind of parallel. But 94, 95, 94 Wimbledon, I remember I wasn't in the ground, because remember, I would only go to the game once a year. That was just the rules. If it was good on my birthday, I got a ticket and got to go. And that's how it was. And 94, but I remember we had it on the radio.
Sorry. Can we just pause a second? Excuse me? I suppose 3 boys that wanted to go to the football.
No, it was just me and my sister. There was a recession.
Moving on.
There was a recession. I think we drove up. I don't know where we were doing, what we were doing, but we had the game on in the radio near the ground, and we had it on in the radio. And I remember listening to the game. If anyone was at the game, do you remember the game? Were you at the game?
Do I remember the game? What, in 1994? No, I was 7.
Okay, so fine. Okay, so we will move on. But this game was a game that I think a lot of it's quite funny because I picked out a game that neither of us were at. But I tell you, I was in the car
Do you
listening to
remember
the
this? No. Do I remember it? No. Shall we talk about? No. Sorry. Carry on.
Graham Stewart said that he remembered because the park end was closed for that game. People were swinging on trees behind the goal to try and get a vantage point. Do you think
Climbing on the church roof?
you've obviously watched it back? Do you think it was corrupt looking back? The fact that it was so soft, that third goal. Do you think?
I've no idea.
All right, let's move on. 1-1 Coventry 98. Do you remember this? You were 12 or 11. Gareth Farrelly scores.
Was this a few months after we'd sold Duncan Ferguson to Newcastle?
Probably because it was around then.
Yeah, I vaguely remember it, but also you've got to bear in mind my memory is not great for certain things. This is why when Ryan's like, "You've got to do this show," I'm like, "Really?
That's fine. You know, there are no particularly like I don't think people would actually. No, I don't want cookies.
Reject.
It's fine. Dion Dublin scored the equaliser at the 89, which put it into precarious.
He was a good player, wasn't he?
I don't think Ferguson was sold, and here's why. It was his assist. I mean, we could go on forever about Ferguson.
It was November. It was like November, December. Sorry, it was or something like that. It was. God, or was it January? When was it that he went? He went in a weird time. Was it before the windows were done differently? I don't
know. He might have gone. He played up front. Would you remember Mikel Madar? Mikel Madar had played for France, I think, in the Euros.
Yeah, and didn't we have Olivier Dacour and
we had Don Hutchison, Farrelly, and Barmby in midfield.
Oh, Barmby, yeah.
Carl Tyler, Michael Ball, Craig Shaw.
When did we have Terry Phelan?
I think that might.
Cadamarteri.
Well, you were only allowed 2 subs, I think.
I saw Cadamarteri play as a youngster down in Yeovil.
Yeah.
He was quite good, but it's just a shame he didn't ever quite break through to be what we hoped he would.
I mean, it's not a terrible side on paper, but football isn't played on paper. You know, it seems a bit mad to think Mikel Madar and Big Dunk played up front together, but that's what happens. Were you at the game? Can you remember much of it? Because this was another nail biter.
I did not start going to the games like on my season ticket until I was about 18. Maybe
that was the 10th of May, 98. So that was the second relegation battle. And then, of course, the other two are Palace, which is very, very recent. I wasn't at the game. I wasn't at the Palace game. I regret it, but I wasn't there. I know we were 2-0 down. I was watching, and at half-time, I think it's about as down as I've ever felt watching a football game on TV. I'd really sort of accepted. I know this is absolutely stunning, isn't it? This, for those that can't see that quietly, do you want to just let them know who the signatures are?
Oh yes, it's only one signature. It's Graham Sharp.
Graham Sharp. Tell me about Palace. 3-2, Calvert-Lewin's last-minute goal. How were you feeling at half-time?
Fucking awful.
The atmosphere.
No. Okay, at this point, the conversation had been had. I don't know how many of you out there, you might have missed this because JJ isn't quite old enough to have confronted this. But maybe are there any Everton fans out there with children who've ever turned round and in all seriousness, when things have looked really bad for Everton, their kids have asked them, "Dad, do you think Everton are going to get relegated?"
No, JJ just said.
No. Just let that second. I'd just like to, maybe for the fans, for you, for Ryan, for clipping it, right? This is a relatable thing, I think, for a lot of fans out there, right? And I just hope that you never hear this, because I will always remember asking this several times to my dad throughout my life. and it's a serious question, and it's akin to going to your partner, going like, we need to talk, right? You sit down, and I sit there, and it's quiet, and it's just after a match or something like that. Dad, do you think Everton are going to get relegated? And my dad was always quite honest. He wasn't necessarily optimistic or pessimistic. And there were times when he said, no, we'll be all right, and sometimes it's close to the wire and you just go, no, we'll be all right. We'll pull through. And we have done. And we have done consistently since 1953, 54. And that night, everything was on a knife edge. You can't really put into words the dread that hangs down. It's like waking up, realizing you're on a boat with no power in the middle of the ocean, no sign of light, no sign of land. And I sat there. It was before the Palace game, and it's like, this is it. We could go down. And that game, what actually happened is, it was I'm sure it was the 19th of May, 2022, wasn't it?
Sounds about right. Let me see if I got the dates. 19th of May is.
Yeah, the 19th of May.
It's quite recent. I mean, so much happened in the last few years, but that
was my uncle Gary's birthday. That was my dad's older brother's birthday, who died, unfortunately, at 49 from a heart attack, which was the age my dad was when he had his first heart attack. You can't make it up. Now, the interesting thing is, my dad and I both, independently of each other, without talking, without discussing it with each other, took the exact same little wallet-sized photo, not a passport one, but a little wallet-sized photo of my Uncle Gary. And it was the same photo, right? And we both had it in our back pockets. And at one point we both pulled it out together. And that's when Everton scored the first goal. I'm sorry. And it just...
At the Palace game?
Yeah. And it was written in the stars. That's what it was for me. That night, for completely the opposite reasons of Bayern Munich and that semi-final. But that night is the other end of the spectrum of what Goodison Park means to people, because there's no way that anywhere else can replicate that.
I mean, the scenes of that game, I can see it's quite emotional. Looking back at that game, the scenes are just undescribable, really. It looked like you would have expected this to be almost like the last game of the season sort of feel, but almost like it went way beyond that. Because the crowd were on the crowd were on the pitch. Lampard's standing on top of the air conditioning unit. Lampard obviously was great that day. Love him or loathe him. That day was just incredible. Richarlison got the second. Who got the first? The Corey, was it?
No, sorry. Gray crossed it in for the third goal. Gray crossed it into DCL. Was it not Keane?
That was the third goal. Yeah, Keane got the first goal, right? Yeah. Gladys Street. We forget that.
It was. He sort of need. Yeah, I said Keane. Keane was off his knee. Then it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So Richarlison was the second one. Hopefully, I'd love to see him back, but that's another matter. And then obviously the Calvert-Lewin, and the scenes were just incredible. But we had the flares at the beginning of the game, the kind of low point at halftime, and you just don't know what. We've all been there at Goodison Park when you're 2-0 down and you don't know what to do with yourself. But in this game, it was 2-0 down, but we're still playing Arsenal away, and we're not getting back in this, and we're down. That was the feeling that I certainly had at that time. I couldn't see a way back. I didn't
No,
see how we were possibly going to get back from 2-0 down. And then I was just thinking about the Arsenal game because I think I went to that, but we never got anything from it. I was right.
but do you know what my dad said? Like, I don't know. My dad said that whether we went down or not, it was just you have to be more zen. You have to accept it because
Mm.
letting it rule yourself. Look, if we'd have gone down,
We can't control it really.
no, it would break my heart. But it's made me realize that it's more important that we have the right framework to move forward. And
Mm.
to me, that's you can talk about football with the stadium. You can talk about using it for the women's team. I don't find it a slap in the face. I think it's it is what it is, and it's giving them it's not that they need it to be considered this. Again, I'm not trying to mansplain or patriarchally sort of gatekeep anything, but it's giving them a sense of validation that has long been needed for women's football when you're just down the road and yet you have this most historic stadium that could probably host it a bit more. So to then tear it down and go, yeah, stay at the park, girls, is a bit fucking insulting. I get it. But also that framework to move forward, like, is emotional. And I'm kind of glad that Goodison is still there in some way. It won't be the same.
I mean, what I wish had happened, just because we've gone, obviously, the Palace game was incredible, but we've gone back onto the women's. The fact that
No, but the Palace game,
fine. It's fine. I think that the reason why I'm aggrieved is that we've had to kind of deal with like a sense of grieving and loss for a long time. But if we'd been told that we're going to be like, it's just the end of the men's football and you can still go there, it probably would have been slightly easier for fans. But we've kind of like been told and then being told to spend money on buying seats and buying everything else that you can sell to us. And then they've told us that it's not being knocked down. So it's really emotional when you've got that family connection. And I really can only understand how you might be feeling. But for me, I can remember going to the game with my late grandfather.
Yeah, same. My late granddad took me to a hospital because at one point he was living the high life and he was mates with bloody like Souness and all that sort of crowd of things like it, and people in Liverpool. There's pictures of him out on the town with bloody George Best. He had a shop on Bold Street and, flash bastard. But he once took me to, I think it was then known as the Alex Young Suite, and you had a meal and it was just all a bit old boys, gents thing. It seemed a bit odd for me at that age. I was about 10, 12, God knows what. And I just wanted to watch the football.
Yeah.
But my granddad's dad, I'm a fourth generation season ticket holder.
That's really incredible. They should definitely be giving you the seat, but it's just not how it works. It looks like they'll need to get new seats in and do something or other, but at least you'll be able to go back to Goodison, which I'm not sure is the right thing, but I'm sure there will be people that go to the women's game that just go to see Goodison Park. A bit like kind of visiting a burial site. It's a bit weird. But anyway, we're going to move on now because we've been here for an hour and I want to talk about a game that you and I were next to. And it was the derby, the one where I got a parking ticket. Basically, it's funny how you remember these small details, but I just had the sense from the moment go on that game we were going to win the game. We're talking about 2-0, 2004, Calvert-Lewin header. I think we had was it a goal or a penalty that was ruled out by VAR at the beginning of that game, towards the beginning of that game. But it just
again, I don't want to bring the sad sack fest down, but I am having trouble. I go because I love it going, but I have real trouble remembering like I don't remember games from when I was a kid, and I don't remember games from the last couple of years because it's quite emotional and I'm quite stressed out and I've got PTSD. So it's like I go and you're asking me, do you remember that? And I'm like, look, if I could watch it or you're telling me it's happened, I could quite easily go, yeah. And I construct it in my head from the hundreds of times I've seen similar things go on because you could make out like bloody, Kevin Campbell cartwheel down there, in this thing 2 years before he was even there. I can't remember it. I know.
This was Ryan, for anyone that follows the channel, that's probably not brilliant. shot, but I'll probably get a better one. Me, Ryan, and David in the park end. And I've got loads of these sorts of photos. But all right, if you don't remember it, we were hugging each other and jumping crazy, and we won. But it was just that game epitomized what a night under the Goodison Park lights was. It had everything. Like, we were the underdogs. Clearly, we didn't think we were going to get anything from it, and we more than deserved to win that game. And I think I said to you just before the corner that we could do with a header here, and we did get exactly that. And one day I will be able to find this. And here's another one. This one was in the box. Do you remember that? Can you remember being in the box?
Yes, I remember that against Spurs. We
So
got a draw.
That's Ryan, David, and my sister Fiona. But we had a great time there in the box. So yeah, I'm sad. I say things like this. Everton stay up with Decore and all that stuff. So I'm sure I'm not the only one. I think it's probably time to look at some of the comments, because I think, just putting them up and putting them down, that's not the right approach. I think there's some really good ones here. Should we start going through the comments? My God, there's loads of comments. Thank you everyone who's commented on Goodison Park, what it means. From the pies to the Archibald Leaf signage to the being stuck on the Gladys Street trying to get into your seat before kickoff. Everything about Goodison Park, it can take your breath away. It's got an aura about it, and fortunately we'll be able to go back there. Yes, you never know. They've said it's the last men's game, but I could see us saying it's the last men's game, and then out of nowhere it goes from the women's to the boys to some sort of ex-Everton player match at Goodison, and you just know anything, if they're going to be able to, they'll do something. But certainly it's the last Premier League game there. Let's start going through the comments, and do keep them rolling, because there's going to be plenty of them coming.
I mean, look, if I'm going to try and say something
tie that Mark Foster talks about, that replay should not have had a store penalty in the first month. Okay, so this was a big game. Like, we didn't cover this, but I used to think Everton v Liverpool was the FA Cup, but I was only a kid. I mean, come on. But they used to face off each other quite a lot. Now, this was Kenny Dalglish's last game in charge, because we won the replay 1-0 with a goal from Dave Watson, I think. And no, it's probably a replay at Goodison. But the 4-4, the Barnes, Beardsley, that game, it's no surprise that Mark's called that out. Do you remember it at all? Have you watched it back?
When was it? 93? What?
No, I think it was 92, but it might well have been it.
Dude, I was 5.
I don't know. I watched it back. I watched Everton games that weren't fair enough. 4-4 for Mark. It's a great game to call out there. That, I suppose, epitomised Everton v Liverpool. It epitomised the FA Cup. Again,
I used to watch the old games occasionally in the replays, and sometimes my dad would put them on occasionally, or they'd be on some random sports things, and but without him there to tell me about it,
no,
it's very.
Cavan is a regular. He says his dad went to in 1966. Everton had just won the FA Cup, and as you rightly said at the top of the show, Brazil had camped out. Eusebio, Pele were there, camping out at Goodison Park, and it was just kind of like stuff of folklore, really. And yeah, Pele was injured in one of the games, because I think he'd played Yugoslavia and something, and they knocked him. He didn't play one of the games, but yeah, he played. Was he the best player to play at Goodison Park? I guess that's all down to everyone's personal judgment, but I've certainly seen my fair share of great players. Are there any ones that you would like to call out that aren't Everton players, Yann, that you've seen that go, oh my God, that was a really fantastic player that played at Goodison Park?
I mean, to be honest, you look back and there are some very fine players.
So for me, I'm going to name them now. Zola.
Cristiano Ronaldo was a good player.
Yeah, do you remember the Neville tackle?
I remember a lot of Gary Neville tackles.
the Phil Neville tackle.
Sorry, Phil Neville. Yeah,
the Phil Neville tackle was the tackle that instilled him into. I think the game was 1-1, but I think it instilled him into the Everton. He just kind of won over the Everton fans with that tackle on Ronaldo. Actually, that's on the Sky documentary, and was a game I can remember. I know what you mean, though. Games do blur into one, especially lots of losses. But that tackle was good. Zola, Bergkamp, Juninho were some of mine. We seem to make average players look great, and many of which just help themselves at Goodison. Obviously, you've probably got to put the likes of Pele up there, and Dixie Dean was 90-28. It was actually at Goodison Park where we scored his 60th goal. So, I mean, you're going really well far back, almost 100 years. In fact, we'll be celebrating that with some whatever they can sell us in about 4 years. But yeah, Dixie Dean's 60th goal was at Goodison. Obviously, there's been some great players on Everton's side. Big Nev was one of my favourites. But
one of my favourite goals, one of the most ridiculous goals that stands out and will forever stand out in my memory at Goodison Park, though. It was just phenomenal. Leon Osman's header against Vincent Kompany. The ball got lumped him from the right or forward, like from the right wing. And it was the edge of the box, and he leapt. And as a result of that, I found it rather amusing to find out that an anagram of Leon Osman's name is one salmon. But he leapt like a fucking salmon over Vincent Kompany, headed it, and it just went over. Was it Joe Hart? I don't know who it was, but it was a beautiful goal. That was an Everton goal, not an opposition one. I'm sorry, I can't think of it.
It's good. No, it's fine. I just, sometimes it's just nice to look, we're going for Everton, but on that ground, there's been some incredible. I remember seeing the Umbro Cup there, and I think Alan Shearer got injured in that first game in the Umbro Cup. Emma, hi Emma. She talks about Dan Gosling, the Dan Gosling derby. I love that description. I remember watching this game, not at Goodison in person, but I think it was ITV. And I just remember the game cut out. It cut out around that. It was in extra time, wasn't it? This goal. I bet you don't remember. I mean, it was only like 10 years ago. Or was it probably longer?
Dude, this is embarrassing.
What?
This is embarrassing. I'm struggling to remember that game.
Anyway, it's the one where we went to Anfield and we came back and Dan Gosling scored the winner.
And then he pissed off shortly afterwards.
And he went, Dan Gosling.
Yeah, to Newcastle.
Yeah. I mean, they all go and then they do nothing afterwards. It was, it can't be February 2018. BBC Sport. 4th of Feb 2009. Everton teenager Dan Gosling struck a dramatic winner 2 minutes from the end of extra time. They didn't speak about how he was 19. They didn't speak about the cut out in ITV, but they did. They basically cut out. I think they might have missed the goal in certain regions, right?
Wow.
Another shout out for the 4-4. I don't know how I possibly missed this but yeah, Tony Cottee and that 4-4 draw.
I have a lot of memories of it being an incredibly. My dad said it seemed high scoring, like some of the old games, and just how the players were attacking. I think it wasn't in about 2012 or 13. Everton 5, Blackpool 3.
I don't know. I don't really remember that. I remember going out in the FA Cup against Tranmere, sitting with Mabsy in the park end, being 3-0 down. Eugene's a regular, and he says the Wayne Rooney goal. I was in Sainsbury's supermarket that day. I never saw the game because I had to go to university and I had to pay for my student books or whatever it was at the time, and it didn't seem that long ago.
I was watching it on TV. I think I remember when was that? He was 16 or 15.
Remember the name, Wayne Rooney.
Rooney, yeah.
Well, it's got to be 2001 because I was at uni. It could have been 2002. Right. Let's do some research. Rooney, Arsenal goal for Arsenal, Everton. Right. When was this? Introducing 16-year-old Wayne Rooney. Well, we already knew about him. 2002, 2003. So I was at Sainsbury's. That was my second year uni. But yeah. Remember the quote. Remember the name. Wayne Rooney. I think it was Clive Tilsley. Yeah. Just going through some more of these quotes and very bittersweet. It's very hard because it almost seems like it's not going to happen, but it is going to happen in about 3-4 days. I on kind of a lighter note, I said to JJ in the car driving yesterday, I said, JJ, do you want to go? Everton are playing the last game at Goodison Park before the women was announced. JJ, Everton are going to be playing the last game at Goodison Park. Can I go? This is reaction. Sorry, JJ, it's really hard to get tickets for that game. It's lucky that Daddy's going. So how do you feel about the last game? It's okay, Daddy. I'm going to get a blue donut. Because he knows that the new stadium has these blue bloody donuts. So they know their audience. That I'll put Auntie Jasmine and Uncle Ryan down for that. But yeah, that's the world of a 5-year-old, really. So yeah, going through some more of these moments.
Yelovich was a wonderfully animated character, wasn't he? Nikica Yelovich.
Nikica, yeah. Well, unfortunately, all I remember is the semi-final at Wembley against Liverpool when I think about Yelovich. Because I think we were 1-0 up in that game. And I was really poorly. And I was with David. And the feeling of coming out of Wembley Stadium, we should be talking about Goodison, but the feeling of coming out of Wembley Stadium having lost to Liverpool is the most sucker punch feeling.
I was there. I was there. I know. I was there.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know why we put that. Bit more for Farrelly. Any other comments that you think quite interesting?
Does anybody here remember what was it? When would it have been? When did Bob Latchford score his only 2 goals for Everton in the same season, both against West Brom at home and away? I think, isn't that correct? Bob Latchford's only goals came in, was it 72, 73? When was it? Somebody maybe help me out here. I'm pretty sure Bob Latchford's only 2 goals came in one season, both home and away against West Brom. If somebody could tell me, sorry, I got the year completely wrong. Somebody, well, he was there for a while, but what was his goal like? The home goal?
What year? We'll find it. We'll find it.
No. Sorry, not Latchford. Who am I on about? I got completely bent on saying the wrong fucking thing. It was who am I on about? It was not. That was the thing about needing the 2 goals, and I just I said the wrong thing. Who was it? The bloody.
While Jan figures that out, make sure you check out the Sky documentary. Goodbye Goodison, because it is quite a good 1-hour episode. I even had my wife watch it, and she's not really a football fanatic. And on that, in that, Arteta said going to Goodison as an opposition fan is like a trip to the dentist. You know it's going to hurt. You know it's going to be tough, and you know it's going to be you're in for a bit of a rough ride, but you're going to go through with it anyway. And I think that one thing that came up was the closeness of the fans to the pitch. I'm hoping that Bramley Moore, I'm not being Jan, but I'm hoping that we can somehow replicate the atmosphere at Goodison. Yes, it's been flat at times, but when it's bouncing, it does feel like it's shaking.
Yes, it almost does, but it's not like the German stadia.
No, I've been to Bayern Munich away, not with Everton, of course. Be lucky to go there with any football side, but I went to a Bayern Munich home game. My goodness, the home end of that. Oof. Crazy. Listen, we've been on for our fair quota of time here, and we've gone through a number of things, but not really scratched the surface. I'm sure we'll do more, and we'll be talking about Goodison in decades to come. and we're going to have to find some way of saying goodbye. They've not said exactly what's going to happen, but I would imagine that on Sunday, and we will be doing an official preview of the match.
But sorry, yes, I was there as well. That was a great memory. Again, thank
The
you.
testimonial.
The 8th of August 2012 against AEK Athens, and it was like the 3rd or 4th goal, and Hibbert scored a penalty, a free kick from 30 yards out, and it was low, and it was a daisy cutter, and it skimmed across the ground, and we fucking rioted.
Hang on, that was a friendly a pre-season.
It was the 8th of August, a pre-season friendly against AEK Athens.
That's right. Yeah, that was it. And
God,
it was all.
What
Was it staged?
Player,
Do you think it was staged?
I don't care.
Okay. Conspiracy or not. We can talk about the good times, the bad times. I mean,
I did not Google it. I was there. I will always remember it. The 8th of August, 2012, AEK.
That's good.
I've no idea. I think it was like 4-1, and it was like the 3rd or 4th goal, and it was a penalty. It's not a penalty, a free kick, rather late out, and he went to kick it, and the keeper, and it went like under the wall, and the keeper dived, and he could have got it, should have got it, whatnot, but it just flapped through his hands, and it went in.
Through, right.
It was Hibbert's testimonial, and there was like this moment of silence. It genuinely, it was this moment of silence, and it was possibly one of the greatest moments at Goodison, because it was like, really? Oh shit, we have to riot!
Did people run on the pitch at that point?
Oh yes! Oh yes!
Yeah, I was just talking very briefly about, on the pitch, because naturally, I think Everton have played the blinder here, because they're saying that there's going to be a show. And I'm hoping that keeps people off the pitch that want to be off the pitch, but people do what they feel is the right thing at the time. The show, they've got it. It'll be a bit like, I suppose, like trying to set up for some sort of trophy parade. They've got to probably allow 15, 20 minutes or 30 minutes to set up whatever they're going to set up. There's rumors of different things.
That was it. Brian LeBone scored 2 goals in his Everton career, in his very long Everton career, his one club absolute legend. He scored 2 goals in the same season. Bob Latchford, Brian LeBone, the 2 goals needed for that 30 in the and I just confused it. But it was Brian LeBone who only ever scored 2 goals against West Brom at home and away in the same season. So if anyone saw that, we'd love to hear that as well. Sorry about that.
It's good that you can remember these things, because it sounded like you couldn't remember an awful lot of stuff. I think we've got a lot of shirts, haven't we? We've got loads of shirts.
I've got some in the wash. There's some in the cupboard.
I think we'll do a separate show on shirts, because we have so many shirts.
Because there's another shirt specifically as well that relates to the Bayern Munich game. A couple of years ago or a while back, they did those commemorative purple shirts.
Yes. Did you get one?
Yeah. I have one. And the serial number matches the home and away legs, or it matches the home and away legs, or potentially, I can't remember if it's somewhere packed away. I can't remember if it's 4 digits or 6 digits, and it either matches the home and away legs of the semi-final, or the second leg in the final, or all 3 games. The scoreline, it's like 0-0-3-1 or something like that.
It's funny how these things kind of happen. I never managed to get the purple kit, but I remember, was that the first game of the millennium? Is that around the Leicester City game, the first game of 2000? 2000 it was. I remember that. I think it was the 3rd of January 2000. Well, speaking of games that stand in the memory, I remember Julian Dix going in goal for West Ham. The game was on because they had undersoil heating. I think Goodison was one of the first, if not the first, probably, that had undersoil heating. And I just remember that game winning 3-1. I think we had Limpar and Kanchelskis, and Julian Dix was in goal. Yeah, it's funny, those things, you just remember those games with the snow and, the atmosphere and just the winter games. My God. Name all 7 who played for Everton twice.
Duncan Ferguson, Stephen Pienaar, David Unsworth.
So these are players that have come back after going, trying it somewhere else.
Have I got 3? Is that right?
I'm pretty sure that those 3 are correct.
Pienaar, Ferguson, Unsworth. Not Xavier. No. Big. No.
Did Barnby go and come back?
That's the thing. Oh yeah, Jeffers. Sorry, I looked at that. That's a good point. Anicha. No. No. Maybe. No. There's a youth player. Anicha. Yeah. No. Just Jeffers. Sorry. Premier League era. A keeper. We lost him. Was it Matarat? No. No. He's not a keeper. Oh God. Joe. No. Fernanda. No. I don't know. Maybe Gravis. Yeah, I don't know on this one. It's getting hard now. I'm probably gonna cock it up. No keepers.
Not easy. Not easy. We'll come back
a striker, another striker. Is it not Sahar? Something weird like this. Left us and like joined us, and then the contract ran out, and then played again. I don't know if this counts a technicality. Who is it?
It's a great quiz question.
Oh, David Weir. No. Idrissa Gana Gay. Duh.
Yeah, really good. Really good. Got there in the end. I love this little find because my partner bought me this, but without the Umbro, because I think the replica kits do not allow the actual sponsor. So this is my actual kit. It fits lovely. It's great. Actually from 96. So now that I'm pulling the kits out, we will do a show on kits because I think it's been great, like just sharing some thoughts and memories around Goodison. There'll be more obviously coming up. And I think it's probably worth me saying that on Friday, we'll be doing a proper preview of the Southampton game. But I'm not sure how much we'll be talking about Southampton.
Can I just say, right, to my ultimate shame, the only tattoo, because I want it to be good, the only tattoo that I don't have that I really want and I've wanted for a long time, I don't have an Everton tattoo yet because I want it done perfectly when I can get it right. But if anybody out there happens to like just have too much money around and wants to pay for me to get part of a big piece done, which will include Goodison Park in a small part, then get in touch with Stevie or Ryan. I would.
How much do we need to raise?
Tattoos these days for what I want, hundreds. Don't like.
Okay.
These are several hundred when you pay for. Don't. All right. Anyway,
wouldn't have known. I did have
only fans.
I love the way that you've picked out an away shirt when we're talking about Goodison. But anyway, on that note,
the black watch.
We will start wrapping up. It's been good to share some thoughts, memories, other people's games, the games gone by, the games we've finally remembered and missed, and there's thousands of them. Certainly hundreds, but probably thousands. But yeah, since 1892, Goodison's been our home. Check out the Sky documentary. If you've not watched it already, Robbie and Wes have come back from wherever, and they've come. Yes, a little break. And they did a great show yesterday, and there'll be others. And then we will be doing a preview of the whole shenanigans for Sunday. And I'm sure we'll do something after as a closure.
Aruna Kone, Nias, something like that. Neil Moped.
Are we doing a show about is this the worst Everton players?
No, it's going to bug me. The one who are these players? I said Unsworth. I've said, is it Unsworth? Gay, Ferguson, and there was someone else I said as well. I can't remember. I'm losing it now.
Yeah. Don't forget the preview, Everton v Southampton on Follow Everton. If you've liked this content, you've stayed with us for this quite a while of chit chat, clap chat. Then thank you for watching.
Rooney.
What about him?
I said yes, a P&R. Rooney, P&R.
Oh yeah, of course, Rooney.
P&R. Unsworth, and the other ones I said.
Yeah, I think you got them all. You got them all in the end. Idrissa Gay. Great question. Yeah. Thank you for that question.
Very good question.
Really good question. Yeah, just to say, wrap it up, but there's more from Follow Everton. Obviously, there's a lot of streams this week. Make sure you check out the other ones. The YouTube channel, follow Everton. X, formerly
No,
Twitter.
We can't.
And
I demand an answer.
If we have, well, look, we normally go live post game, and hopefully we'll have a team in the ground who can probably come out and do something. But I'm really expecting that other members of the team will be going live after Southampton. Just bear in mind that there is an end of an era show. I don't know whether it's going to be on TNT Sports or whatnot, but I'm sure that someone will show it somewhere. So just bear that in mind with the post-match reaction. And Everton are odds-on favourites to win, which I think is a dangerous place to be. Moyes has come out and said, this is the most important game of the season, a game we've got to win. He knows, if anyone knows on this planet the importance of winning that game, it's David Moyes. So it would only be between him and Big Dunk that I'd want in charge for this lost game, where he'll make sure that they get fired up. And I fully expect to see Seamus Coleman involved. If not from the start and then taken off with an ovation towards the end. But I suspect he might start. I just have this inkling. But we'll come to that in our preview. It's going to be an emotional game. I as you can see, I just had a lump in my throat just even talking about it. There's going to be a coach parade. We'll go into all of the ins and outs and all the speculation about Atomic Kitten and Paul McCartney or whoever you think's going to be on stage.
I can't
Judy
take this
Dench.
much longer, please, Stevie.
Yeah, yeah.
Talking about
all on Friday. But yeah, it's hard to say. But the old lady is going to say farewell for the first team and hello to the lady. So from me, from Yann, we're trying to keep it together, but it's a sad farewell and it's coming around the corner. So thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you on the next.